What does social change within the arts mean to you, and how have art museums influenced and shaped your understanding of what that personal definition is?
Yeah, I think for me, social change in the arts really looks like everyone having the space to be seen, heard, and thrive simultaneously. And the ways in which interacting with museums really impacted that for me is my interactions with museums have radicalized me, mostly because they were the spaces filled with art where I didn't see myself. I didn't see myself on the walls. I didn't see myself in the staff. I didn't see myself as I looked around museums. When I started to go to them as a teenager, I was just like, whoa, this is supposed to be a place where all the wonderful art things are. And it's weird to me to not see anyone that looks like me or my family members or people in my neighborhood in these spaces. So I'd say in that way, like my interactions with museums have allowed me to be super critical, observant, and vocal about all of the ways that I see people being left out and the ways that that needs to be changed.
So I was thinking, I was going back to what Chanel was saying in the beginning about how like arts can be like museums. I think that it within the arts, how they can best, I guess, um, create a social change is like by democratizing their power, by like having it accessible to everyone, and then having the same, I guess, like opportunity to make and create in that same field. And obviously we know that is something that is not really true in today because of the different ways different people, I guess like majority white, wealthier, middle class individuals have access to museums at different access points by whether jobs or even just like getting into the museum. As we know, many museums are, not affordable to people. If like that $20, people think it's just $20, but $20 can be between you and a meal, right? You and a bill. So I think those are all like real, I guess, barriers between people who have access to the art and to, I guess, museums in general. But I think this question always brings me back to how I think about art and social change as two different links, because I think that art can be a product or a catalyst for social change. But I guess like art in and of itself innately isn't, I guess, social change, because I think that it has to, I guess, be within a context or a conversation, and they have to be, it can't be passive, it has to be very intentional about how it's engaging in that conversation. And I think social change naturally happens outside of these environments because I guess as you see, art isn't created in a vacuum. Art is created in an environment, and I think that people can choose to be a part of that conversation. But I think that art, I guess, contextualizes or complicates, or I guess has a conversation with what is going on. But I think that it's more like, I think that the art that I'm drawn to directly, I guess, passes that like passive barrier. And I think that that's where you see, I guess, like some of the artworks, like look at like different Black art. Like I always think about the Black arts movement in particular, about how when individuals like, this is what this art is meant to do, right? It's meant to have a conversation and to push a narrative forward. Like we think about Amir Baraka, in the Black arts movement, like literally speaking to these narratives, but also being in direct conversation with different, I guess, Black theorists and Black historians. Like these, like I think that people also forget that like Black artists are also within a social, I know, family or community. Like many people, like artists were having conversations with activists, having conversations with community organizers, and that's where this art comes from. And I think that that's where we think about, I guess, like a social change art practice. But I think that that has to be intentional, and also being like you said, to stand in that truth.
I appreciate that. I definitely think that art can imitate life, and that uh, it has to emerge out of several conditions for it to be, validated or mean something to people or speak to the times. Tori,
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah,
How do you define it?
absolutely. I mean, for me, social change within the arts is just constantly the ability to critique, the ability to look at stuff and say, this doesn't fit, this isn't working for me. Um, and it's that questioning that is one of the most kind of important pieces of change in the arts, because it kind of informs what needs to happen here to kind of make the soil ready for the change that we want to bring into this place right now. And the way museums have kind of informed that for me is really the art of critique, the art of walking into a space and saying, what is wrong here? What don't I like? What needs to be fixed? How does it make me feel? And to kind of, since I was a kid being brought to these museums and learning how to do that, it was kind of only natural for me to turn that outwards and look at the rest of the world that way.